Good evening, family. Welcome to Let's Talk Live. I am very excited about tonight's live. We have someone joining us this evening that is actually going to be speaking about HR and what expectant families need to look out for. So I think she's getting ready to join us now. If I got that correct, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Your screen is sideways though. Are we able
Let's see if
to
we can
rotate
flip
you a
it.
little
Let's do that. Uh-oh. Let's see if we could do
bit?
that. Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
How are you this evening?
I am good. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. So can you introduce yourself to the people? We know you on IG as the HR chick, but I want you to share with
Yes.
people who you are, a little bit about your background and how you became the HR expert. So tell us who you are.
My name is Crystal Randolph. I've been in HR for 25 plus years. Got into it by accident, really fell in love with it. I love working with people. I love building policies and procedures. And I've been doing this for such a long time that I figured, you know what, why don't I share what I know with everyone else so that they can actually be able to navigate the HR, whether it's the profession, the rules, the policies, the procedures, or just advance in their careers. I currently work for a company which is one of the largest distribution channels in the United States. Worked my way up to be the senior director of HR for this organization. So I'm pretty excited about where I am. But again, I'm so happy to be here to share my knowledge about FMLA, and some other topics that I think is important to moms and dads.
Awesome. I am super excited to have you because so many times we talk about comprehensive care, right? And then we forget that this part, like how much leave you're going to have, how to
Hmm.
navigate those conversations with your job, this can be such a huge source of stress for so many families that's totally missed.
Yes.
Especially for partners, especially for husbands. It's like, how do I even talk about paternity leave? What does
Yes.
FMLA even have to do with this whole process? And so, if you could start us off, because this is not my jam at all, but I'm so interested to find out on behalf of our viewers and listeners. So, can you tell us what does a conversation about FMLA look like for families that are expecting or
Hmm.
planning and preparing to become pregnant? What does that look like in conversation with HR?
Of course. So let me just start out about giving everyone a little bit of background on what FMLA is
Yes.
and what the tools and different regulations that apply to moms and dads that are out there that are getting ready to have a baby. So FMLA is a protected leave. It is unpaid. Okay. Anyone that has worked 1 year, complete 1,250 hours in an organization with 50 or more employees are entitled to this leave. Okay. What it does is provide 12 weeks of protected leave for a mother or a father to a mother to care for herself and to bond with her child, a father to bond with his child or care for his significant other. And when I say significant other, I really mean you have to actually be married to the individual in order to care for them, to be able to help them with their health. Um, Now, FMLA is not the only provision that moms and dads should be looking to. There are also paid family leave obligations under the state regulations that you should be knowledgeable of as well. So, when you are getting ready to go on leave or you have knowledge that you will need leave, it is expected that you give a 30-day notice to your employer so that they can get all the documents and everything together for you. So the
Okay.
conversation would really be, hey, I am either it's the mom I am expecting. I don't have a due date, it's to be determined, but I am going to need FMLA paperwork to protect my job while I am out on leave. For fathers, you want to do the same thing. And you have the right to do the same thing, and you're entitled to the same amount of leave as the mom. But what I find is that fathers kind of get rejected in the workplace because they don't want to tell you that you are entitled to that same amount of leave, and you're entitled to take the time off to bond with your child. So you will do the same thing. I am expecting a child within 30 days. The date is not specific, but I need the paperwork so that I can get it completed and filled out. Now, there are a lot of differences on what each person will do, okay, in this FMLA game. The first thing is for moms, you're going to get a form that's going to be employee serious health condition. All right. That form is for you to fill out, to have your GYN and your doctor fill that out to say that you're going to need this leave. This is important to have that paperwork in hand, because as a mother, things happen unexpectedly when it comes down to pregnancy. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know exactly when you're going to go out. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to have some conditions that you
Right.
need to take off for so that the baby is safe. So you want to make sure your GYN doctor is on top of that paperwork. I will tell you, some healthcare providers will make you pay to have that paperwork filled out.
Okay. Now, you
So
said healthcare provider. Does this apply to midwives as well?
no. So midwives actually won't make that provision. So their PCP may need to
Mhm.
fill it out on the behalf.
Okay.
My PCP filled it out for me, although the GYN was the doctor that was attending to me.
Okay.
So there's certain classifications of doctors that are qualified to actually fill this paperwork out.
Okay.
Um, like a chiropractor is someone that couldn't fill it out unless they were dealing with subluxation of the spine, right? So
Okay.
we want to make sure that we get the right people to fill it out and that it is actually taken care of so that HR doesn't come back with any questions or concerns later or try to debunk your entitlement to leave. I will tell you that being pregnant alone in the workplace, they're on notice. They will know that you are expecting, but they're going to wait for you to give them the notification. Sometimes they don't come to you about it. Now, if for some reason before you go out on leave, you're expected to go out on whatever specific date, and something happens which takes you to the hospital. If you completed the 1 year, 1,250 hours, they're supposed to automatically designate that leave as FMLA because it rose to a serious illness. You were hospitalized for whatever is happening.
Okay.
Okay. So under the FMLA provisions, so we talked about telling your employer 30 days in advance. Mothers, when you feel comfortable to tell your employer, you tell your employer so that they know what to expect. You need to have, if you're working, you need to have a backup plan to make sure you know who's going to have what, who's going to be doing the work while you are gone. But again, you don't have to feel obligated to tell them immediately. You don't have to
So
do
let
that.
me ask you this. You said FMLA is unpaid leave, but I've been
Correct.
seeing this huge movement, at least on the corporate side, to really bring the United States up to snuff when it comes to paid maternity and paternity leave. And I know you mentioned
Yes.
it's going to be state by state, so I want to say that
Yes.
here.
And
We have Maryland, we have Texas on the line. It's going to be state by state. But can you tell us
Delaware, yes.
what's happening right now in that space? How is maternity and paternity leave shaping up, and what are some questions that folks can ask to not be automatically pushed into the FMLA space, but to actually be compensated if their company offers paid leave?
So I want to talk about several different things, and that's a great question, Jackie. Right now, there are only 9 states that have paid family leave. That is California, Connecticut, DC, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Washington, and Maine. What
Wow.
Maryland and several other states have decided that, it's just not for maternity or paternity leave. They really felt that there was a need for people to be able to take off to take care of their family members. And it was becoming a strain because some states don't protect you whatsoever, and you may not qualify for FMLA. So you're just in a really peculiar situation. Sometimes you have to leave work, sometimes you end up getting fired. And what the states found is that we need to protect these individuals that are caring for others that are really, really sick. And Maryland just voted on this last year, where it's into play this year. It will start in 2025 for employees, but the tax won't be implemented until 2023. Delaware is in the same pattern to move in that direction, and some of the other states as well. So what that will do is it will provide a safety net for families that are going through these serious illness situations. Um, One of the things that I want people to also keep in mind is that your company may have some short-term disability. So you want to know what your benefits are, and benefits are very, very important, because if they have short-term disability, then you will get paid 66 and 2/3 of your salary while you're on leave for maternity leave. But it won't pay for bonding with a child. And this is where we need to get technical with the fathers who have the financial burden of making sure that they're taking care of the mom and the child to be. So so there's so many different aspects. And what I tell people is that you should be in your HR office talking to your HR rep, letting them know, you know, what's going on, and they should be giving you the information needed. They should be telling you, you need to complete these forms. Here's what you need to do. You need to ask questions. Is this paid? Is there any type of benefits that I have that will pay me while I'm out? Okay. Those are necessary questions to ask. What happens when I go on maternity leave? How much time do you need me to tell you when I'm coming back? Right? If there are complications, what do I do when there are complications? How is my child covered? I will tell you, some insurance companies automatically cover the baby within the first 30 days, but the parent has to watch that timeline. You have to enroll your child in FMLA. So you just can't go on leave and forget about it. You
Yeah.
need to make sure that you're filling out that paperwork so that the baby is covered for the remainder of the year.
So really quick, I don't want this to go up in the comments. I am Butterfly was sharing that they are currently on FMLA now for medical reasons in New Orleans, but the next comment was that they actually um, fought tooth and nail. And that's my question. How realistic is it that your HR department is really going to share with you everything that you have access to in a transparent and helpful way? I've heard so many stories about even if they wind up giving it to you, they try to draw you out through this like
Mm-hmm,
obnoxious, annoying process. So how
mm-hmm,
can folks get past that part? Because
mm-hmm,
that's draining. If you're pregnant or your partner is expecting and you have all these other areas to focus on, you don't want to focus on beefing at work, and then you're going to be scared they might take it and tarnish your record here and there. How can
mm-hmm.
folks navigate that kind of situation?
I will tell you that your employer has an obligation to tell you what you are eligible for. They cannot hide it from you. They have to tell you. There are regulations that state that they need to inform you. So there are posters when you get hired. There should be policies and procedures in the handbook. There should be notices that are going out to employees on a constant yearly basis to remind them of the regulations that apply to them. Now, if an employer is fighting you tooth and nail, the one thing I want people to realize, sometimes it could be the employer, but sometimes it is the medical professional that is writing the documentation. Okay. When you get your paperwork filled out, sometimes what you don't realize is that your doctor hasn't completed everything that they need to complete. And they could put something up there that says, you know what, this person has this condition, but it doesn't mean that they need to be away from work. That
Mm-hmm.
statement alone will have your employer say, you need to come to work because your doctor is saying this condition will not keep you out of work. And I tell people all the time, read the documents your doctor is giving your employer. You have a right to get a copy of it. You have a right to contest what's written down. You have a right to say to the doctor, say, hey, you know, this has affected me. I need to be out. And you're writing this, but why? What is the medical diagnosis or opinion? Okay. And if your doctor's not on board with doing that paperwork, and I will tell you, you really don't know how many doctors really leave it to their nurse practitioners or administrative assistants to fill this paperwork out, which makes it so hard for employees because they have to keep going back and forth to get the paperwork corrected. So what needs to happen is that you need to take a proactive stance in this documentation. And you need to really, really analyze what's going on and make sure that you understand what the doctor understands and what they're documenting in your paperwork. And I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that you had a hard time with the HR department, but I will tell you, when you're going through something like that, there is a phone number on the state wage and hour poster for FMLA that you can call. And that phone number is for individuals that need help to deal with their employers so that they can take advantage of the regulations that they are entitled to. It's a 1-800 number. It reaches the labor department. They will take your case on. They will call your employer for you and they will navigate for you. And also with benefits, if you have a hard time getting benefits or them applying the benefits to legitimate reasons for health purposes, there's a 1-800 number as well. So you're not alone. And there are so many different resources that are available to you. Um,
But
but
here's
you
the
said,
thing. So I'm looking, and she's like, they're not posted everywhere. My supervisor was calling me for 4 weeks daily until I stopped taking her calls. I think the biggest thing here, which is, I talk about it all the time, self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is not just for that moment where you go into labor. There's going to be every step of the way, and even after you have the baby or before you
mm-hmm,
decide to get pregnant, like there's not a space where self-advocacy doesn't matter.
mm-hmm.
Not allowing people to harass you or get you to make decisions that you don't want to make, making sure that you actually read the handbook
Exactly, exactly.
yourself into. I'm guilty back when I, was in corporate. I'm looking at this book like, man, I'm not reading that. They all say the same thing. But truly reading it and finding out
Yes,
what you're entitled to and not allowing any sort of like bully culture to keep you quiet from asking for and requiring the things that you truly have access to. So thank you for bringing that part up because the techniques where it's like you're just like I'd rather just leave these folks alone. I'm tired. I don't even feel like dealing with this. But we
yeah.
miss out.
You do when you leave it just like that. And one of the things that sometimes I will tell you, it doesn't matter how big an organization is. It doesn't mean that your HR expert has an expertise in FMLA, ADA, or any regulation. So don't assume that they are very knowledgeable in those expertise. A lot of times you'll also find that HR is bullied by the SVPs, the CEO, or whoever it may be, or other managers, and they're going to want to do what the manager wants them to do, but you got to always constantly remind them that they need to do what is right. And
Mm.
even though there's no posters and no information in your company, I will tell everybody that is on this live that you need to make sure that you're on the DLLR website. All the posters and regulations are there for you to read and for you to become knowledgeable in. It is free information, okay? It is not hard to get. I stay linked to those postings and those regulations all the time so that I'm able to navigate through what should be done and what's not done, and know that those numbers for help are real. Those hotlines to report a big corporation not posting, that is a fine, a huge fine for that organization for not posting those posters. There is
And
a
I didn't.
poster requirement. Yes, there is a poster requirement. And the thing is that you can call and say, hey, I don't know what my rights are. They never posted it, and they have more than 50 employees. And this person is going to walk you through how to report it. And I think a lot of times, especially in our culture, we actually, like Jackie said, you don't want to deal with it. You shy away from it, and it becomes a bigger problem. And you're spinning your wheels
Yeah.
because now the employer is on you. You don't know what to do. You don't want to deal with it, and you're not holding them accountable for the things that they should be doing. Okay.
Yeah. That's that accountability piece.
Yes.
So I want to give you a scenario, and as an HR professional, I want you to kind of respond with how
Okay.
you would recommend this person move forward or how you would respond to them if they work for your company.
Okay.
So I am 8 months pregnant. I've
Mm-hmm.
been working with this company for 5 years. I am interested in an upcoming position that's become available in our company that I've had my eye on since before I've even gotten pregnant. But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, you know what? I'll take my 12 weeks, and when I come back, I'd really love to go after this particular promotion. You start to ask them questions about what that will look like since you're coming up on your birth and you don't know when they're actually going to, if they will receive your request to be put
Hmm.
into the pool or not while you're out on maternity leave, or if it's something you need to do before you go. As an HR professional, how would you recommend someone handle seeking a promotion that will come up for when they get back from maternity leave?
I think you need to start talking about it now. I don't think that you need to wait to talk about it later. One of the things I tell people is that you need to get in your boss's ear, you need to be in HR's ear about anything that wants to drive you, whether it's a promotion, whether it's a change of position, whatever it may be. Do not let the pregnancy stop you, okay? You need to be actually advocating and marketing yourself for that job now. It doesn't matter that you're pregnant. For me, I tell people and I encourage them, make sure your resume is updated, make sure that the right people need to know, make sure you're talking to the right executives, make sure you have the skill set per the job description before you apply for the job. If all those things line up, you have great credibility in the organization, you're a well-known professional there, everyone works with you well. I don't see an organization denying you that promotion because you went on maternity leave or you were going away to have a baby. I've seen a lot of corporations actually put the hire people, they go on maternity leave and they come back in their new job. Okay,
Okay,
so that was
because I was
me.
gonna
That was
say, how
actually
many-
me for sure.
okay, you said that happened to you?
That was me. I saw a job that I wanted and I was very vocal with my boss. I made sure that we had open lines of communication. I've worked on several different projects. I had a lot of credibility in the organization. And when I came back, I was promoted into that different role. And it was ecstatic and I felt great about it. But I will tell you, don't wait, because if you wait, then other people have the opportunity to go before you, right?
Yeah.
And you may be the ideal candidate. And what stops them for advancing that position forward while you're out on leave? Let your
So
intentions be known.
to Black Butterfly's point, did they try to communicate with you while you were on leave? Did they honor the boundaries of
So
your maternity, or
let me
did they
just
try
say
to like
this.
get you into your new position and ease you in while you were on maternity leave?
Well, for me, I had employees that really needed answers for me, and no one knew how to answer the question. So I had my employees, I gave them a line of open communication to reach out to me. But I will tell you, when you're on FMLA leave, there are boundaries. Employers should not be calling you to ask you anything that is work related, because when they do that, you're actually working, and then that entails that you should get paid for what you're doing as working and not
Hmm.
as on leave. And it messes with the leave provision. So when you're out on leave, there's no requirement for you to answer anything from an employer unless they're like, can you tell us where the documents are at? Because we're going to have someone come in and really catch up. They have a right to do that, ask for the documents. But if they're
Okay.
asking you to do some line of work or to answer some questions and stuff like that, you don't have to answer. You're not
Okay.
required to answer. So just so you know, you have to set boundaries as well.
Okay.
Okay. And you have to stick to them. At some point of my maternity leave, my family looked at me and said, you need to throw that phone inside that nightstand and cut it off.
That's what I'm saying because it's like sometimes, right? I won't say this all the time. I struggle with like supporting especially corporate mamas when I'm supporting them as a postpartum doula. There's this like in your brain, it's just automatic, it's not wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because you're so accustomed to relating to your job and to emails in a certain kind of way, once you get any kind of normalcy, your brain
Mm-hmm.
is like, okay, I'm ready. Da, da,
Yep.
da. Like,
Yep.
no, ma'am,
Yep.
sit down. Like, you are not all of a sudden back and ready just because you got one good night's rest. And so there's this struggle to really be back
Mm-hmm.
into communication and to
Mm-hmm.
loosen those boundaries. During maternity leave. And I see, like she said, it sounds like there was definitely some really strong boundaries crossed in her situation, but also within yourself, like it's so important for us to honor the leave that we're requesting, whether it's
Exactly.
FMLA, whether it's maternity or paternity, and to really use that time to bond with our family and to really strengthen our family unit. Now, the other thing,
And before you say that, Jackie, I want to say something to what I am Black Butterfly just said, them threatening her job because she stayed out too long. I want you to know that when FMLA expires, a new provision rolls in, which is called the Americans with Disability Act. Okay,
mm,
a pregnancy can lead to some serious things in your medical health that will make the employer have to reevaluate whether an accommodation is necessary. So there are rules. If they're threatening your job, the one thing I'm going to tell you is that this is not the place for you, and somehow you need to make an exit strategy because these are the tactics that are built into the culture, right? But it doesn't mean that you're without recourse. Again, if you call DLLR and you talk to them about the situation, how they interrupted your leave, how they did what they did, and you have that factual information, you more than likely have a case. Okay, more than likely have a case. So
yeah, you gotta look into it though, because I will
yes,
say in certain cities um it gets
I have a
super deep.
location. Are you in Virginia? I have a location that's in Virginia
No, she's
and
in New Orleans.
New Orleans. So
Mhm.
federally, ADA is required in any state. Any state. That is a federal law. Okay.
Okay.
FMLA is a federal law. Now, paid family leave, we talked about that. That is state optional.
Baby.
But
Yeah.
working with you and really getting into the interactive process, and Jackie, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I think this is important for people to know. When you're on FMLA and something happens that requires you to be out longer, especially if it's medically, your job needs to engage you in the ADA interactive process. Okay,
Mm.
they have to. It is a requirement because it is something that is keeping you from returning to your normal self medically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that engagement is just basically how do we come up with an accommodation that helps you meet the minimum qualifications of your job? And sometimes that is giving a person an extended leave.
Yeah. Or maybe even if they haven't fully gone remote, that they offer you a work from home option so that you're not
Correct.
having to transport back and forth, but that you
Correct.
can do from a
Exactly.
laptop. So my other question, though, this was going to be something really geared towards the husbands and to the partners, and that has to do with using whatever time you have to really strengthen your resume
Mm-hmm.
to present yourself for the strongest opportunity if you are of the mindset that you really need to find something better. So
Mm-hmm.
say a husband or a partner went ahead and got that paternity leave, and then they're like, babe, I can't go back. Like the culture might be like what Butterfly is experiencing, or it's too far now, and we have one car, and I need to be closer, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
What are some resources for anyone to go and have their resumes looked over, reviewed, get some pointers, or even just get it redone, period, so that they
Okay.
are a super strong candidate for whatever their new position is that they're going after.
So a lot of people don't know that your state workforce exchange or what they call your job bank has all these resources available to you. They have people dedicated to help you rewrite your resume for free, help you apply for jobs for free. They actually have better network connections with employers, and this is free to you. Every state has a workforce center. If you are someone that is looking to move from a professional to more of an executive position, I will encourage you to invest in yourself and get a career coach or a leadership coach to help you do that so that you can lead on their networking. You can actually get them to rewrite your resume and build your career brand, right? So those are some important tips for fathers. If you're on a limited income, hang out at the state workforce exchange. Hang out there. It's free to get there. Everything is free, and they have amazing people there. That's what I would tell you.
Awesome. No, that's a you can you say it one more time? It's called your
Sure.
workforce.
So it's your workforce center. You know, when you go to apply for unemployment, or you go to, you're looking for a job at the state workforce exchange to meet the unemployment requirements, they have a lot of free resources to you. And one I forgot to add, which is really important, they teach. They teach Excel, they teach Word, they teach PowerPoint, they teach skill sets. And then if you're looking for something in reference to like an internship because you want to learn a new skill, well, every state has an apprenticeship program. Okay, you just don't know where these websites are, right? And if you don't know about them, you don't know how to apply to them to get the free resources you need to build a career. You also want to look into what's hot right now is driving jobs. It's like the hottest job in the market. And I tell people, if you don't know what your career is going to be and you want to make an executive salary, well, go to a driver, a transport industry or company. They're paying for CDL drivers now. They're putting you to school. They're paying for your med service. They're paying for everything.
Yeah.
And because there's a shortage of drivers. So that's a one good career that's could really look into.
So, when you're talking about your state site, so like in Maryland, it would be like maryland.gov, right?
So
So,
it's yeah. So for the state site, it's going to be, I think they call it workforce. I want to say it's workforce something dot gov, right?
and
I
it
can
will be
actually,
whatever the state is, or
yes, yeah.
okay.
So if you just type in workforce center for whatever state you're talking about, it's going to pop up. The link will pop up in Google, and you'll be able to log on there. And there's so many different resources. There's a calendar that you should be able to see of the upcoming events that they may have, any trainings that they're offering for free. You can actually go into the actual facility and ask for one of the representatives to sit down with you to rebrand yourself for job opportunities. So it's
Absolutely. And I do
a
want
lot of
to
people don't.
put a note for the entrepreneurs too. The Small Business Association of your city and state is also a really, really dope resource. Similarly, on the entrepreneurial side, if you're like, I need someone to look at my business plan, I
Yes.
need some coaching or something like that. Typically, they have some coaches or coaching, whether it's peer to peer,
Mhm.
helping you build out everything. So it's not just about skills building. It can also be if you want to also take this opportunity to become, go after your entrepreneurial endeavors or strengthen it. You
Mhm.
can also reach out to your local SBA office to help get some tips and tricks as well. So I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you getting ready
No, I saw a comment in Maryland. There are several different state workforce exchange centers. It doesn't matter which one you go to. There
to?
are
Okay.
tons of them inside of Maryland. Some you'll find they may not have the right people there. PG County is amazing. I would take the drive to PG County in a heartbeat because there was a young lady there named Jacqueline Davis. She just had the heart and soul just to help people, and she was very dedicated. But again, in your state, there's several workforce exchange centers. Just find out where they are, what they're doing, what activities that they have.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up. I am so deeply appreciative for you sharing this perspective, right? This is not something that we talk about a lot, but it's something that I know so many people are dealing with on one level or not. So before we go, how can people find you in your business, or what's one last gem note before you give us that? Not or, and one last gem, one last HR gem that you would want anybody who is planning a family, currently expecting, or just maybe had a baby and is in the midst of all of this. What would you say? What would you share with them from your HR perspective?
Planning is important. Planning and having a plan is important, and having a plan A or a plan B, because you never know how things are going to go, gives you structure so that you know what you're looking at. And what I mean by that is you want to get stuff in front of you. You want to have your benefits in front of you. You want to have your salary in front of you. You want to have, promotional opportunities in front of you. You want to have all the paperwork and the documents. You want to say, here's what we're going to do. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stay home. We have a new baby, so maybe I have to work in the morning and you have to work at night, but planning is so huge. And I wish I would have done more planning to know what the strategy was going to be, because I'm going to tell you, as a new mom myself, getting back into the workforce was hard. It was hard. And I
Yeah.
wish I had a plan about who's going to do what and how they're going to do it. And one thing, Jackie was my doula as well. One of the things she had to tell me as a career mom to say, hey, you know what? Slow down and have people help you.
Yeah.
So accept
Help.
that help.
Yeah.
Accept that help.
Yes.
But if anyone is looking for me, you can definitely find me on Instagram at TheHRChick, or you can visit my website, and I made it very short, www.clrsg.com, which is for CLR Solutions Group. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about a situation, try to get into, what you're trying to do, try to give you an understanding of what you need to do, and, what you should do, give you some coaching on what you should do going forward. So DM me. I'll answer you. Give me at least.
I'll put your website site in the actual chat. So everything that's
Yes.
here in the video right now is gonna disappear. That's why I wanted to like share it in case someone in
Yes.
the future is watching. You said clrsg.com, right?
.com. Yes. That's
And we are planning and we are accepting support, right?
yes. Right.
Every step of the way, even if it needs to come from your HR department. So thank you so much, Crystal, for joining us for our Let's Talk Live. This is actually, I'm going on a sabbatical for July. So this is going to
Good for
be
you.
our last live for at least the next 4 weeks or so. So thank you for bookending this first season, and thank you for sharing your expertise. I think, I really believe that we need everybody in their lane. And
Mm-hmm.
HR has been your lane for so long. Like, you have literally bodied it. You have grown, you have watched, you have
Mm-hmm.
tussled in it, and you've learned so much that other people can glean from and get really great insight from. And so thank you for being able to show up for us tonight and give us some gems and help some sisters and some brothers out, because it's rough out here.
It is. And I want to say thank you, Jackie, for having me. Thank you to everyone that joined. And one last tidbit, if you're looking for HR tips and stuff like that, I will be posting those things on the HR Chick platform, which is on Instagram. So take a look at that. I'm going to have tips and tricks for people that are dealing with corporate America.
Yep. And follow her, because I had one of my other mentees, I had posted one of your posts about
Yes.
writing your own
Yes.
review. She was
Yes.
like, yes, girl, yes, I'm about to write my own review right now. It's like, okay. Like, she was so hype about it. And so I was like, okay, so please follow her for her tips, her HR tips and tricks. But she was so excited about it. I was like, okay, that's what's up. So you guys have an amazing, amazing evening. What is next for us is we will be in Colorado for a postpartum doula training. That is the weekend of July 15th through 17th. And starting in August, we're going to be rolling out some amazing programming with Akionu Birth Foundation. And so just stay tuned. I mean, we're going to keep Let's Talk Live going. So definitely tune back in for August to see who we have. But other than that, I thank you all for being so amazingly supportive. And you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye.